Good morning. I have pushed my wake up time to 6:30 because the mornings are getting lighter and I want to be able to run a little bit earlier. But I'm still adjusting. The schedule this week is pretty much the same as last week in terms of training, so not much is going to change on that front. Last week I did do one heavier strength training session and one lighter strength training session, so I'll try and do them both heavier this week, hopefully. And amongst all that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about heart rate zones and general nutrition as a runner. I'm sort of aware these videos aren't the most interesting and they're definitely not going to get clicked on as much as some of the other stuff, but I mostly just feel like they're a useful exercise for me to document my training and kind of make sure I get my thoughts in order as the week goes on, if that makes sense. So if people happen to find these useful, then that's a bonus. It is 6:40, so I'm going to try and eat a little bit of food and get some water in me and mentally prepare for doing strength training, hopefully in about half an hour. I did do an upper body strength training session yesterday, Monday morning, but I didn't record it because I don't know what to tell you. The general upper body training sessions are just to sort of maintain that well-roundedness that I like to have. I don't like to sort of just run. I like to have other things that I'm able to do if I want to do, so I like to stay strong all round, not just in my legs. That was pretty tough, but it's what we need to be doing. I'm trying to add some explosivity into my strength training from now on to try and help recruit some more fast twitch fibers in my muscles and basically be able to sustain faster speeds for longer, essentially. The workout templates I'm using at the minute are kind of loosely based off what I would be using if I was in the gym, but obviously I don't have the same equipment available, so there's a lot of improvisation. Okay, I'm gonna make myself some breakfast. So let's have a quick chat about nutrition. My general goals are pretty intense. Wanting to run ultramarathons, that's a lot of energy and calories that I'm going to need in the build up to my kind of peak training for any race that I want to do. So this means that I'm going to need to be pretty on the ball when it comes to what I'm putting into my body and keeping an eye on my weight and stuff. To make sure I'm maximizing muscle repair and recovery, I'm going to need to make sure I'm intaking enough protein to ensure that I get the most out of all of my workouts. I'm also going to need to make sure that I'm having plenty of carbohydrate because that will be my primary fuel for running, essentially. And it's important not to neglect the role of fat in the diet because that will also provide some slow burn energy release as well as protecting the body from disease, amongst plenty of other things. There's a bit of a myth that after you've done weightlifting, you need to intake a bunch of protein within 30 minutes, which is not the case. When it comes to protein intake, the main thing that matters is that you're getting enough protein in over the course of the whole day. It's also worth noting that there's some data to suggest that the body doesn't really process more than about 25 grams of protein in any one meal or snack. So just be aware that if you are loading more than about 25 grams of protein into any one meal or snack, then you might find that some of that protein gets wasted, essentially. I do tend to eat something straight after I've lifted at the minute because I'm usually hungry, and that will have a balance of protein, carbs and fats in it. After a run, I prefer to have something that has a higher carb percentage in it because after you've done any kind of cardio, it's imperative that you try and replace the carbohydrates that you will have lost over the course of that cardio. So whether that is running, swimming, cycling, walking, any of those things, it's just a good idea to get some carbs in pretty quickly after you finish. On top of the macronutrient balances, there's obviously also all of the micronutrients, making sure you get enough vitamins and minerals in as well. Having plenty of vitamins and minerals in your diet obviously means that you are going to recover better, you're going to get ill less, and hopefully be less injury prone as well. The kind of training I'll be doing will be really intense on my immune system as I hit kind of peak training load. So essentially looking after my body and making sure my immune system is well up to scratch is going to be important. I generally try and avoid using supplements as much as possible, but I do follow a plant-based diet, so I do supplement for B12, and because it is currently winter in the UK, I also supplement for vitamin D. I do sometimes make use of protein powders on days where I'm lifting weights, just to basically make sure I've covered my bases in terms of protein intake. And I'm a small person, so sometimes trying to intake the amount of food that I need to make sure I get all my macros can be uncomfortable. So something like a protein shake just makes that a little bit easier. I don't rely on them, but they are just a useful tool to make sure that I can get in the stuff I need without feeling like I'm ramming food down my throat all day. Anyway, quick ramble about nutrition over. I will do a one-arm chin-up training session later this evening, but I probably won't bother filming that. It'll be pretty much the same as last week's one-arm chin-up training sessions. So I will catch you tomorrow morning for a 5-kilometer run. Good morning. It is 6:35. Sunrise is at 11 minutes past 7. So probably gonna try and head out just before that. I'm not gonna eat anything before I run. I'm just gonna get my oats prepared so that I can dig into those as soon as I get back. All right, let's get on with things. That 1K effort at the end was pretty tough, not gonna lie. I want to do a 5K time trial in April, and although it's going to just basically be seeing where my speed's at, it would be nice to break my PB. To break my PB, I need to run under 4:30 a kilometre consistently, which at the minute is not doable. But it might be by the time I get there. Might be. Okay, I'm going to stretch out and have some breakfast, and I will catch you tomorrow for more strength training. Good morning. It is Thursday. It is 7:15. I woke up at about 6:30. I've had something small to eat. I'm just going to go look over my strength training plan for today and then get started in about 15 minutes. That's workout done, breakfast done, stretches and all of that jazz. I'm going to talk about heart rate zone training for a couple of minutes. So essentially, the most reliable way of progressing with running is to have 80% of your running volume per week at a kind of easy pace and maximum 20% of it at a harder pace. Heart rate zones are beats per minute ranges that are calculated based off of your maximum heart rate. Maximum heart rates are usually just calculated generically based off of your age minus some numbers. I'll put the equation on the screen here. But once you have a value or a generic value for your maximum heart rate, you can calculate your heart rate zones to ascertain where your easy running zones are, where your tempo zone is, where your threshold zone is, etc. So the heart rate zones are generally split into zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Zone 1 is generally where you will be if you're doing nothing or just walking. Zone 2 is likely to be your kind of conversational running pace, so if you can run and still sort of say full sentences, that's probably you're in your zone 2 heart rate. Tempo is where it's difficult to talk, like you can get words out, but you're not really going to be able to sustain elongated sentences. Heart rate zone 4 is your threshold, which is probably the heart rate zone you're going to be in if you're racing, if you're going at race pace for a sustained period of time. Heart rate zone 5 is basically your max effort, which you're only really going to hit in short bursts. If you're maybe lifting a really heavy weight set or trying to sprint up a hill, or just sprinting for a sustained period of time, you might go into max effort for a short period of time. So the idea behind doing 80% of your running easy and 20% of it hard is that if you're trying to go fast all the time, your body's just going to be tired all the time. It's not going to be able to recover because you're putting in max effort too often. Your muscles will be tired, they just won't be able to sustain the same speeds day after day, and it's just going to be mentally draining as well. So with doing 80% of your running in these zone 1 and 2 heart rates, it means that you're still building your aerobic engine and you're building the endurance, and then you're able to sort of really specifically focus those harder sessions that you do and get the greater benefits from them. And it also means you can just basically have really high mileage in a week without necessarily needing to take rest days. You're using those easy runs as part of the recovery process. An easy numerical way of making sure you're hitting that kind of 80-20 split is to use heart rate zones as a reference point. For someone my age, my max heart rate should be around 194 beats a minute. So my zone 1 goes up to 126 beats a minute, and then my zone 2 would be 126 to 157 beats per minute. So if I want to ensure that I'm staying in that kind of 80% easy run bracket for most of my runs, then I want to be running most of my runs under that 157 beats a minute mark. You can also judge this based off how it feels when you're running, so you can use sort of relative effort instead of heart rates if you don't have like a sports watch, or you just don't really like using heart rates as a way of measuring it. You can do it based off how you feel. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, one way of doing that is by seeing how easy it is to talk when you're running. If you can talk easily, then you are probably in zone 1 or lower zone 2. So if you can talk easily while you're running, then you're in the right place, essentially. If it starts to get a little bit harder to talk, then you're probably approaching the upper part of zone 2 and going into zone 3. A couple of people asked for clarification on heart rate zones in previous videos, so just felt like going over it a little bit, and I hope that was useful in some way. This afternoon will be another one-arm chin-up training session, and tomorrow I'll just go out for a little morning walk. So I'll probably catch you Saturday morning when I get to do a 7.1 kilometre run in adherence to my 10% distance increase per week. All right, I'll catch you then. All right, it's Saturday morning. It is 10 to 7. I'm gonna head out at 7 for my 7.1 kilometre run. I'm just really looking forward to running longer distances. I'm itching basically. It's another couple of weeks till we get back up to 10k, but yeah, getting there slowly, really looking forward to it. It'll be a mostly easy paced run, and then I'll probably put in like about 500-600 metres of fasterness at some point, is the idea anyway. Okay, I'll catch you out there. run complete, breakfast demolished. That was a particularly good run. So I experimented with using the same breathing technique, but an exaggerated version of the breathing technique that I use when I meditate. I should say when I remember to meditate. So I was essentially breathing really deeply in through my nose and then elongated breaths out through my mouth. And I tried to maintain that for the entire run, which seemed to help keep my heart rate in check a bit better for the most part. So I'll probably try that again and see if I can replicate the results. I did also do the last 800 meters of the run at speed. I was trying to run the 800 meters at my goal pace for a 5 kilometer, and I went out a little bit too fast at the beginning of that segment and faded really badly at the end. So I need to get better at remembering what different paces feel like so that I don't just like sprint out and burn everything too soon. But I did get a PR on that. It's a Strava segment that I'm running along at the end of some of my runs. And I did PR on it, so I did get faster than I did last time. So that is good to know that I can like open the tanks up like that at the end of a run and still put out a decent amount of speed. Still got loads of work to do on that front though, so I'm not sort of looking at that and thinking like, yeah, we're there or anything. I need to do a lot of work on pacing. I'm really bad at knowing what my pace is while I'm running, if that makes sense. I kind of either need to have a watch or I need to have like kilometer marker points that I know are where the kilometers are along the run, to try and keep myself in check. Otherwise I'm all over the place. So I need to work on getting a better idea of what my pace is, and understanding how to maintain certain paces in certain scenarios and environments. But the fact that I can open up and achieve quite a bit of speed at the end of a longer run does make me feel quite confident for starting some more specific speed work in a couple of weeks' time. So all good stuff. So yeah, very encouraging end to the week. Tomorrow we'll probably just head out on a hike, so I won't really film that because that's just me and Greg having our weekend walk together. So that's kind of our time, as it were, and I don't really want to take the camera with us on that. Still basically restricted to our very local area for the walks and stuff, so we're also starting to just repeat hiking routes, which isn't ideal, but what can you do at the minute? Really looking forward to being able to get further afield, hiking back in the peaks and doing trail runs back in the peaks and stuff. So yeah, that'll be really, really good when we can get back out, and that shouldn't be too far away. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, then feel free to hit the subscribe button and continue to follow the running journey thing that's going on here. When they start to kind of allow us to go back out further afield, then stuff like wild swimming and hiking videos will be back on the agenda. And as my training sort of starts to get a bit more I can never say this word, specificity, you know what I'm trying to say. As my training gets a bit more specific, I will probably stop doing these kind of weekly training vlogs and do more about kind of individual days, and sort of elaborate more on the structure of a hard day or an easy day, a long run day, etc. That kind of thing. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.